Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Gardener. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. So in today's video we are going to be talking about step-by-step process of treating a stretched succulent. Now guys, when your succulent starts to stretch like this, in this case you can see there is no other option other than chopping it off, but it's very important to know where exactly to chop and how to chop it. Now before we chop, I'll give you a quick look of how the succulent looks. So first you need to locate where you want to cut it, where exactly is the stretching that has stopped. So as you can see, this is the portion where the stretching has stopped because it was offered a good amount of light. So we'll have to chop it off. So what do we do with the lower leaves? So first, in order to locate that stem where you want to cut it, you will have to take out some of the leaves. So very gently twist and turn, and the leaves are going to come out. Now if you want, you can take out all of the leaves, what I'm going to do in this video. So I will pluck out as many leaves as possible. So here I have the leaf propagation soil mix, which is a mix of 50% garden soil and 50% of coco peat. Now this is completely bone dry, that's why I am letting them callus on the upper layer of soil. Never place them on a wet surface. It has to be completely dry because it has to get calloused, because we are just taking out the leaves right now, so they have not calloused yet. So very carefully we'll take out each and every leaf. And always remember, before you do this, you well hydrate the plant. This plant was well hydrated before doing this process, so that we do not want any kind of dehydration later on, because we are not going to water it until the next process starts. So we have to hydrate it very well. So now as you can see, we have taken off all of the lower leaves. Now it's time to cut the stem, because now the stem is very much visible. I'll take out one more leaf. And now we have so many leaves for propagation. We are going to have a lot of pups on this. And now we are going to cut this part so that we have a very long stem which can air root, and then we can just tuck it into the soil. So this is how the stem cutting looks like. The remaining portion is going to stay in the pot itself. We are not going to uproot this stem because it has a very well established roots. We have to let it callus. This upper portion has to get calloused. The same way this portion has to get calloused. So both of these shouldn't come in contact with any water, otherwise there is a risk of getting rot. Now when I say there is a risk of getting rot, probably 50-50, I'm not very sure. In my city I don't do it. I ensure that it is completely calloused, because a lot of times because of the environment there is a possibility of it getting rotted. So I ensure that both of these pieces are completely in a dry place wherein they do not come in contact with any moisture. So the stem looks fantastic. I don't see any mealybugs, nor do I see any mealybugs on this part as well, so which means that it is very fresh. Now I'm going to keep this part on a dry surface. I'm not going to be keeping it in coco peat, because remember, adult succulents do not like coco peat, so it's only for the leaf propagation this soil mix has been prepared. Now about watering, this is not going to be watered right now unless the pup starts to arrive on this. That's why I said you have to hydrate the pot before you continue to do this stem cutting. So everything is done. All I have to do is add in a little bit of cinnamon powder. Now as I've said this earlier as well, cinnamon powder is just precaution. You do not, it's not compulsory that you have to add cinnamon powder, but I'm just going to add a little bit of cinnamon powder on the stem cutting as well as on this succulent that had the cut. So we are going to cover it up a little bit like this, and that's all about it. We are going to keep it aside. So the end of story for these two guys. We do not have to do anything. It's going to be sitting there until they start to air root. Once these start to get pups, we are going to add water. When these get the aerial roots, we are going to put it into the soil. Until then, they are going to be kept away from any kind of moisture or water. Now talking about these, I will place them correctly. So whenever the roots appear, it's going to be much easier for me to water them. So as you can see how I'm laying them, this is how you have to lay them. Just on the upper layer of soil. You do not need to push the ends into the soil. You just need to lay them above like this, and over the period of time, whenever the roots appear, they will navigate themselves into the soil. So we do not need to do much. So that's all about it. Now I usually leave this space in between. This is where I tend to use water if I'm doing top watering. If I'm doing bottom watering, there is nothing to be worried. But when I'm doing top watering, I usually make a little bit of dent over here so that I know exactly where to water it, because we do not want to drop water on the leaves. So guys, that's all about it. It was pretty simple to propagate them. Now you can see in couple of weeks or probably a month or so, I will have a lot of these varieties of succulent. Now another important thing, if you have noticed that your succulent has stretched in location A, do not keep your succulent back again to location A. You will have to move to another location, because if a succulent is stretching in your location A, example, that is just an example, location A, if your succulent has stretched in that location, definitely even if you are going to do a stem cutting and put it back into that same location, it will stretch once again. So the whole purpose of doing a stem cutting because of propagation is going to fail, because if you're going to land up keeping your succulent in the same place, you'll have to probably find another place wherein your succulent is not going to stretch. So please be careful, do not keep your succulent back again to the same place. That is a mistake that you'll have to rectify, because your succulent was stretching in that particular location, so you no longer want to keep any of your succulents over there. So guys, that's all about it. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep propagating.